Welcome to the week 4 Math 94 homework. So let's get right to it. We've got do not use a calculator on this homework. Show all your work that leads to an answer and keep your work neat and organized so the reader can follow your work. Okay, so let's see. The pie below is cut into 6 equal slices. Shade 2/3 of the pie. This is actually going to be kind of fun. So 2/3 of the pie. I need to think about the pie as being in sixths. So what I've got to do is say, okay, if I have 6 pieces, how many thirds is equivalent to sixths? And so to get sixths, that's a hard word for me to say, I have to multiply 3 times 2. So if I put a 2 in the denominator there, I need to do that in the numerator as well to create an equivalent fraction. So 2 times 2 is going to be 4. So I'm going to shade 4 pieces of this pie. Doesn't matter which 4 I shade, as long as I get 4 of them. So there is 4/6 of the pie right there. All right, number 2. We have fill in the blank to make the 2 fractions equivalent. So similar to what we did on number 1, I'm going to come over here. So I've got some room to work. I need to figure out what I'm going to multiply by to create a denominator of 64. And so 8 times 8 is 64. If I multiply by 8 in the denominator, I need to multiply by 8 in the numerator. That puts us at 56 over 64. So the number that goes in the blank is going to be 56. I think that's it for the first page. Moving on to page number 2. So write 16 over 32 in simplest form. And so there's a couple ways to do this. The first way is to recognize that 16 and 32 are both divisible by 16. So I could divide 16 by 16 and 32 by 16, and I would get 1/2. Another way to do that, if I don't notice that it's divisible like that, we'll call this option 1. You don't have to realize that it's divisible by 16. You can just even use 2. Recognize that they're both even. Divide by 2. And then we'll see what's going to happen. So if we divide by 2, we get 8 over 16. This can still be divided down further. So 8 over 16. I could divide that by 2 again. And that would give me 4 over 8. And I could divide that down again because they're both even. And if I divide them down again by 2, I get 1/2. So we'll call this version option 2. And so notice they both produce the same answer. We get 1/2 either way, but you don't have to be like a master of finding the biggest number that goes into both of those numbers. It will still work if you have to do the division multiple times to get it figured out. So we need to plot 5/8 and 1 3/4 on the number line. And so it looks like this number line is cut into tenths. So what we've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, it's cut into eighths. Let me check again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it is cut into eighths. I thought it was cut into tenths. So 5/8 is going to be a jump of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. That puts us right there. And then 1 3/4. In order to do that, I need to think about 3/4 as eighths. So let's take 3/4. If I want to turn 3/4 into eighths, I need a denominator of 8. That means I need to multiply my denominator by 2. So I need to multiply my numerator by 2. So I get 6/8. So we're going to have 1 6/8. So we come all the way over to 1. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6/8. That right there is 1 6/8, or 1 3/4. Those are the same thing. Okay, on to number 5. There's quite a lot of problems in this homework assignment. Yay! Okay, so what do we got now? We have order the following fractions from least to greatest, show your work. And so you can sort of do this intuitively. If you were to think, well, the bigger the denominator is, the smaller the fraction as a whole is. The way that I would prefer to do it probably instead is to give them all a common denominator and then order them that way just so I know for sure that I'm correct. And so all of these, oh, well, that's going to be tough with this, huh? I'm not sure exactly what they mean by show all of your work, but let's give it a go and see what we would get if we do it my way. This is going to be tough to find a common denominator for 7, 9, and 11. Okay, well, let's do it. 7 times 9 times 11, it's going to be a nasty number. Let's see what we get. I get 693. So I'm going to take each of these fractions and give them a denominator of 693. So I'm going to figure out what I need to multiply the denominators by to create 693 in each case. And then we will have common denominators, and it will be really easy to order these fractions from least to greatest. So it says don't use a calculator in the directions for this one, I know, but I did just now to get 693 because I didn't want to have to try to figure that out. The other way, like I said, is to do this intuitively and recognize that the least one is going to be the one with the biggest number. So the answer is going to be 2 over 11 because that's going to be the smallest. 2 out of 11 is the least. Then 2 out of 9 is going to be next, and then 2 out of 7. So that's least to greatest. But again, I'm doing it a more, arduous way. So to get to 693 from 9, I need to multiply by 77. So 77 in the numerator as well puts me at 154. So for this one, I need to multiply by 63. So 63 in the numerator as well puts me at 126. And for the last one, I need to multiply by 99. So I need a 99 up there. And that puts me at 198. So if I look just at the numerators now, I can see that 126 is the least, 154 is in the middle, and 198 is the greatest. So the 2/9, the least is 2/11, just like we had in our intuitive answer. The middle is 2/9, and the greatest is 2/7. I probably did that problem a bit more with a little bit more work than it really requires, but oh well, at least it's over. So we need to rewrite this problem, then multiply, look for common factors that can be canceled before multiplying. So if you're a person that is not into canceling and that kind of thing, I'm totally okay with that. I will go ahead and try to do it both ways and see what we get here. So 4/7 times 1/5 times 7/9. So in this case, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do it without canceling. And then we also have to put in our answer in simplest form. So we've got to be careful to see if we can simplify the fraction at the end. So 4 times 1 times 7 is 28. 7 times 5 times 9 is going to be 315. And so I happen to know that 7 goes into both of those. And so to simplify it, I would have to do 28 over 315. Divide them both by 7. And I would get 4 with 45 on the bottom. And then 4 and 45 don't have any common factors, so 4/45 would be my answer. So we'll call that option 1. For option 2, we are going to do some canceling before we do the multiplication. And the reason I don't just always do the canceling like I'm about to do is because I find that oftentimes students get confused of when it's okay to do the canceling and when it's not. And then they end up doing it when it's not okay, and it messes things up. So what I noticed is that there's a 7 in the numerator of the fraction on the right, and there's a 7 in the denominator of a fraction on the left. And so what's really happening there is if we were to basically think about those three fractions as being all stuck together, the 7 in the numerator and the 7 in the denominator would divide to make 1, which is why they simplify to be 1, and it happens to make the multiplication a little bit easier. So for option 2 here, we now have 4 times 1 times 1, which is 4, and we have 1 times 5 times 9, which is 45. And that got us straight to the answer without having to do any simplifying. And we'll call that option 2. And our answer being 4/45. Alrighty, on to the last page. So we need to rewrite those two fractions so that they have a common denominator. And then what? Okay. So let's see. I've got 13/20, and I have 19/30. I know that they both go into 60. Another thing that I could do is just multiply those two numbers, 20 times 30, and get 600. 600 would be okay. I see that they both go into 60, so I'm going to use 60. So we're going to multiply by something that makes the denominator 60 on both of these fractions. In our case, this is going to be 3 in the first one and 2 in the second one. So 13 times 3 is 39. 19 times 2 is 38. So we can see that this one is greater or bigger. We can see that this one is lesser or smaller. All right. Now we're supposed to compare these two fractions using a greater than, less than, or equal to symbol. And so the one that is greater is 13/20. So the alligator eats the bigger number, right? So there it is. 13/20 is greater than 19/30. Alrighty, I hope this is helpful. I think that's the last page. Yep. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope you have an awesome day.